Erev Tov, everyone. This week's parsha, the Mefarshim discuss the actions of Eliezer Avraham and how he chose Rivka to be the woman that Yitzchak would marry. Now, in the Torah, we have a halacha, a posuk, lo sanachashu. Nachashu is you should not. A nichush is I will do certain things if a certain thing happens. That's unrelated to what I'm going to do. And the Torah says lo sanachashu. That's not allowed. That's avodah zarah. The Tosefta in Masechet Shabbos in the 8th parak lists a whole number of things that the Tosefta calls darkei amori, the behavior of the avodah zarah of the time. Yeah, well, so you have there a list really of all the superstitions that exist even in the world today. The Tosefta says if a black cat crosses your path, if food falls from your mouth, to walk under a ladder. So all of that is darkei amori. So at first glance, we would say that Eliezer is also darkei amori, because he says the one that comes out that'll give water and shall water the camels, that's the one. What has that got to do with the job at hand? His master Avram told him, go find my family. Go talk to them. So when he's not interested in the family, he says the one that comes out. The Gemara says, Lo ke Eliezer eved Avraham, v'lo ke Yiftach. These are two examples of things that of nichush that were wrong. Yiftach said, the one that comes out of my door, well, I will sacrifice if you will give me victory. He ends up killing his own daughter. So there's this law in the Torah of lo sanachashu. So then why would the Torah put so much emphasis on what Eliezer did? And from our parsha alone, we would say that Eliezer did correct. He was right. Turned out the way he wanted it to turn out. And that therefore, nichush can be a positive thing, not a negative thing. So this is dwelt upon a large subject matter. Everything in Torah is. But one way to understand it is that this is not a nichush, so to speak, as much as it's a test of character. He's looking for a woman to come into the house of Avram and Sarah, to take over where Sarah left off. So that's a house of chesed. It's a house that welcomes strangers, that helps the poor, that is willing to extend oneself on behalf of others. And that is why Avram Avinu told him that you should not take from the daughters of the Canaanites because their character is flawed. Because to a certain extent they're the heirs to Zedom. They don't have that breadth of character to include others. And Avram told them we have to have a house of chesed. So therefore, what Eliezer did was to make a test of chesed, test of character. The woman that walks out and is willing to extend herself on behalf of strangers and is willing to do more than what is just perfunctorily required, so then that's the one that I will pursue. So that he senses what Avram wants. And that's why he is considered Eved Avram. He's not only a servant in the sense of ownership or servitude. Avram said, "Uven meshek beisi Eliezer." The Meshek Eliezer. Eliezer is the pillar of my house. He runs everything. I gave him over all the powers. Why? Because he, to a certain extent, is me. He understands what I stand for. He understands what I want. So therefore, this type of nichush would not be forbidden. Because this is basically the test as to whether or not I should pursue this woman or not. I mean, if she's not willing to water the camels, then she's not for the house of Avram. So what's the use of going to his family if the character of the person is flawed? So therefore, he wants to determine at the onset that this person he's interested in is of the nature and character that would fit into the house of Avram Avinu, and from whom we can build the nation through Yitzchak and through later generations. The Gemara says that the Rabboni Shalom Kaviyachol, the Tchilosel Chesed, the Sofel Chesed, the creation of the world is Chesed, the clothing of Adam and Chava is Chesed, giving them to eat in the Gan Eden is Chesed. In the end, the burial of Moshe is Chesed. So Olam Chesed Yiboneh. The world is built through Chesed. How do I know that this person is a woman of Chesed? So that he says, well, we'll set up this test. We'll set up this set of circumstances. And we'll see whether or not the person is worthy of being considered for the house of Avram Avinu. So therefore, even though the Gemara said, Lo ke Eliezer Eved Avram, because on the surface it looks like it's nichush, and we have all sorts of nichushim that exist in the world, right? People, I don't know what they call it today, biofeedback, whatever, things like that. Oh, today was Tuesday, today's a good day to do something. Tomorrow's not a good day. The astrologers and the zodiac readers and all of that, that's all Darkei Amori. And if you're in the Golis for 2,000 years and you're living amongst the Amoris, so a little of the Amori sticks to you. So a little of it stuck in the Jewish world in all sorts of things, in all sorts of types of nichush. But the Torah is against it. The Torah says that is really an entree to not believing, not dealing with God. You're dealing with, with ladders and with black cats, etc. So the Gemara asks the question regarding the fruits that we eat on Rosh Hashanah night. Mazeh. So the Gemara says simna. It's a siman. It doesn't mean anything. It isn't an indication. It's just a siman of what we want. It's a sign of what we want. But the nature of people is to invest in it. The nature of people is to make it equal to hearing the shofar. And that, that's an error. So that's the idea that we have here from the story of Eliezer and why it was repeated twice. Because the Torah wants us to realize the importance of the character of the person. And the character of the person can only be determined by behavior, not by what the person says. By what the person says, everybody is wonderful. Every idea is wonderful. Every plan is wonderful. It's all wonderful. But when it comes to the maaseh, it comes to the action, that's where you have to see what the person is. And therefore, this story of Eliezer has prominence in the parsha. Covers almost half the parsha, because the Torah wants to emphasize all of these ideas to us so that we'll be aware that the character of the person is what counts, and that the character of the person is revealed through the behavior of the person and not necessarily through the aura that may surround the person or even the family that may surround the person. And that's an important lesson in life that can be incorporated into each of our lives at every stage of our lives. Rabbi Chananya ben Akash Omer Rotza HaKadosh Baruch Hu L'Sakos Es Yisrael Leficha Chibur Lahem Torah Mitzvos Shenemar Adonai Chafetz Aman Tzidko Yagdil Torah V'Yadil.